a desire to be you, some creativity, and loads of joy can give rise to amazing conversations. Please do listen in Theatre of Joy. And like and subscribe, please. When I think of Navleen, it is with a sense of wonder and a deep feeling of love. When she's around me, I am engulfed with her energy, which is actually the stuff of magic. And there is gratitude, shukar hai, a chant that always was around me growing up. Navleen is a teacher par excellence. She teaches children, women, change makers, and well, communities. Her teaching methods are very different from the norm, mostly one on one, and that is rare. And she uses everything that she has put in her jhola, her bag, along her journey. All blends into her teaching of the oneness that she exudes, her religion, her experience as a mother, daughter, wife, and everything else that she has gathered in her very eventful existence on this planet. Anyone who has ever wondered about life, the universe, and everything will enjoy this conversation. And yes, spoiler alert, the answer is 42. Hello, hello. Welcome to the podcast Theatre of Joy. Today we bring to you Navleen Kaur. Navleen is, she has so many facets, so many things. She's helping so many people in the UK. And I'm going to let her tell you how she chose what she's doing now, why she's doing what she's doing, and where it is going to take her. Navleen?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I feel honored that you've come on our podcast.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful.
I'm grateful too. You provide such a great space, so it's easy. Thank you. So where do I start? So I was born in England, and I came to India about 20-something years ago. And I've always been into education. So I'm an educational psychology MPhil, a student, still a student. And my main job in the UK is that I look after Sikh schools. So I'm head of Sikh ministry, and I look after several Sikh schools that have Sikhi as its ethos, but it's for all children from all faiths and none. Okay, so I studied my MPhil. Actually, no, I did my bachelor's degree in French literature and poetry for my sins. And then I lived in Paris for a couple of years. And then I came back to the UK and started teaching in mainstream secondary schools. And then I got kidnapped.
You did?
By a bunch of American and Canadian people. And I came to Punjab, spent 2 years, and I think the real education happened here on this dharti. And then I ended up in Cambridge, where I did my MPhil in education psychology and social development. And yeah, all my life I've been in education since then, with young people, with families, running retreats, in my spare time, camps. And for work, it was always in schools, colleges, and further institutions of education.
So you said something about the Sikh ethos being at the basis of what makes you tick.
Yeah.
So would you explain to us, in brief, what is the Sikh ethos?
That's hard. I think for me, the Sikh ethos is just falling in love. When you just learn to give yourself and you don't ask for anything in return. So for me, my heart beats with Jin Prem Kiyo, Tin Hi Prabh Payo.
Acha, could you translate
So that means those that love, they find Jin Prem Kiyo, Tin Hi Prabh Payo. They find that connection with the divine. So in everything that we do, if love is the basis and love is the is the ingredient inside the cake, then the taste's going to taste slightly different. And it's not just then what you eat, it's what you feel after you've eaten it and what you give out. So the khushbu then. So for me, having a Sikh ethos school just simply means you have a heartbeat in the school and you give young people an opportunity to have a safe space. So they know.
So khushbu is fragrance, right? And the fragrance spreads all over.
Yeah. And it's
That's
not just for brown people,
beautiful
right?
way of expressing it.
Yeah. It's not just for, it's for everyone. So, you know, this idea that Sikh is a Sikhi or the Sikh spirit, I don't believe it's, you know, I mean, I'm not born in India. I'm not from Punjab originally, but I realize that the teachings and the sacredness has come from this land, the land of the 5 rivers, but it's spreading and it's going crazy. So,
and it doesn't immediately bring up the idea of separation for you.
No, in fact, it's the opposite. It's like a union, right? It's like
that's what I'm getting from you. What you're saying.
The vibration. So the fact that this path unraveled itself before me. I wasn't always into this way of living, but in my early 20s, there was an experience, lots of experiences. I think there comes that cusp at that point in your life when you develop and you think, okay, you know, I'm not the toddler, I'm not the teenager, I've become a woman. Now what? How do I want to live the legacy? So for me, I was inspired. I had a great teacher. I met him in the UK. And then my life changed because I found Seva.
Seva. So what is Seva? Please tell us.
Seva's selfless service. So in fact, I met a clown in the middle of Chandigarh and bumped straight into him. And he pretty much changed my life because I met him, and then I met you, and then I met lots of other people connected to this kind of work, lots of NGOs. From there, things just developed and evolved, and I lived in an orphanage for about a year and a half in Mata Gujri Sukhnivas, Kharad de Kolsiga. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I know nothing. I don't know anything about anything. You've done all these, I did these degrees and I went to Paris and I studied at UCL and I was at Cambridge. But when I saw the pain of young children and women, it really hit me that I'm unqualified. I don't know anything. And then going deeper into the faith, deeper into sacred scriptures, music, chant, I started playing with those things and developed my own system. And I created a little project called Karta Care.
I'm sorry, say it again.
It was a project called Karta Care. So Karta, Karta, and then Care with a K. Kare.
What is it in English?
So Karta Kare in Punjabi, but Karta Care was that Karta is God and God cares. So
Karta Care.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Karta Care was just a little project where the children in the orphanage who could not go to school because school didn't suit them and wasn't good enough for them. We took them out, chucked them on a rickshaw, went all the way to Channi Chachaji's house in Sector 16, found a couple of puppets, found a couple of puppeteers, and started playing with them. And through the play and through the clowning I saw so much healing. And these children who had been indirect victims of violence or direct victims of violence, torture and trauma were finally releasing. And that's how I realized that we can do so much for everyone in whatever capacity. And I'm lucky because I'm in schools, I'm in education. And that trauma doesn't just lie in this land, it's all over the world, right? So where I am in the UK, I have students from all over the world. And I deal with one person at a time, try to really focus on what they need, not what we can give, but what do they need to help them then fly. There's a difference about doing something and reading it and doing it, or letting people fly and providing them a platform and giving them the tools to let them go on their own journey.
Yeah, so I'm curious, what is that playground? What makes it up? Where does the funds come from? How is that space available? Because it's not available in many other places.
Yeah, I mean, I think people like-minded people find each other. Your paths cross, and for me, I found a bunch of young people in different parts of the world, but a lot of women that I really trusted, older than me, and we set up something called Sahara Sisterhood.
Sahara Sisterhood.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's a not-for-profit organization. Set it up just after COVID as a dedication to somebody and his work and his life. And then it flew because trauma ਇੱਥੇ ਸੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਘਰ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਘਰ ਸੀ ਉਸ ਬੱਚੇ ਸੀ ਉਸ ਸਮਾਜ, it was everywhere. And then people were locked with the perpetrator, often in the home. So things that they had never seen, because 8 hours they were at work or out of the house, everybody was stuffed together in a boiling pot and it was rubbling and boiling and lots of things were happening and it was hard. And young people didn't really have a voice because chup karke baja was the option, because I'm on a Zoom call and I've got to do this and I'm working from home.
Have to make money for dinner.
Yeah. And so children were at home, schools were, yes, we all know what happened. So through that space, we were able to provide a platform through Zoom initially, for people to talk about how they were feeling and what we could do. So we started painting, started doing theatre.
Using the arts.
Yeah, using the arts.
I've always felt that all the problems of the world are there because women are hurting. Because women have the kids and they're the closest to the kids. It's not, women issue is not a separate issue, right?
No.
It's the thing. Children grow up, hurting because their mothers and the families were hurting, and then it just continues.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you chose to, work with women.
The thing, it was just common sense, really, because women are the ambassadors and catalysts of light and change, because they're giving the ingredients to their children.
They have the kids.
And it's not, how does blood turn into milk? I'm a mother of 3. And it wasn't until I actually became pregnant and had a baby in my arms that I realized how beautiful and powerful I really was as a person and could be. I could complain and contrast and compare, or I could just cut that communication and live without being provoked, without being, poking, provoking, and then confrontation, and then usually fight, bam.
But it's very interesting that all over the world, women are choosing not to have kids. They don't have kids.
Yeah.
The population levels are going down. I mean, as progressively.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. I think it's sad because for me,
it's really sad because it's tough.
Yeah.
To bring up a kid.
It's really hard, and yet there's a part of you that has to go, and you have to become neutral, and you can't live through your ego. It has to. Your surrender has to come.
No, and people around you have to surrender also.
That's true, yeah.
Because you know how tough it is to do it alone.
And as women, especially in our generation, we have to work. It's not an option. We work. We're homemakers. We look after the family. We look after our work professionally. But we also have to feel that femininity, that sensuality about being a woman. And that's why I fell in love with Gurbani, because it was all about, we're the female souls.
Gurbani is the 6th scripture, right?
Yeah. And these are the female brides. So we're all women as far as the scripture is concerned. And there's one husband, Lord, and we're all his brides. And how do you be in love, stay in love, and serve through love?
And that is a strain Kabir, Rumi,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
all the greats,
yeah,
Sufi poets and all that, that you make love to the world,
absolutely.
you know. And I mean, the beauty, the plants, the flowers, and
The sparkle in
the
your
beauty
eyes.
of the planet, yeah.
Yeah,
And you're a bride and you make love to the
yeah,
world, yeah.
absolutely. And then everything that you manifest, toda production ondana. So
Mm.
we are lucky as
Mm.
women. We can marry a saint,
Yes.
give birth to a saint,
Mm.
become a saint.
Mm.
And men don't really have an option. They have to just become the saint.
But you know what? That connection that you were talking about, that you feel for your child,
Yeah.
is cannot be explained.
No.
And it's, it's something so special that you can, if you choose at that time, end all separations. I mean, it
Yeah.
shows you a way
Yeah.
to oneness. And the separation, but not every woman chooses the oneness.
Yeah.
And but the separations are so real in many women's lives.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think the journey is, I think I can relate so much to the students that I have, to the teachers, the staff that I train, to the mothers and women I work with, because of the fact that I became a mother myself. And that
Yes.
before that, I don't, I did work in an orphanage and I wasn't in a relationship. So I was quite happy being celibate and I thought that was my plan.
Mm.
But God had a plan for me. And, I just followed the plan.
Mm.
And I think now I realize when I work with young people and I see their pain, and some people have mothers, they're born, but they're in foster care, or they're not with their biological mother, but somebody else has the chance to then become their mother, or their father. So one of the students that I have in where I work, he has foster parents, and he loves them so much. He's constantly talking about them. So when we have a fun day, he takes prashad. Can I take one for Mr. and Mrs. Blah? And it's the first thing he'll say. Because for him, they gave him something that he didn't get from his biological family. But now he's grown into this beautiful tree and he's fruiting and fruiting every day. And I can't wait to see what comes out next because it's exciting. So working with children with, lots of trauma, lots of psychological, emotional, mental, physical needs is very, very humbling, because you're so grateful for what you've been given when you see what others don't have. But then you find the tools. And for me, it's always been through either music or play or art or theatre, that the joy that you can just become a different character and you can play a bit, and that allows you the time to then be free. And I think
play is such a wonderful thing, right?
yeah.
Play is the way we learn. Play is the way we be, actually.
Yes,
And
yes.
we forget that in the seriousness of life. And
Yeah.
that's what, yeah.
It is. And so for me, I get the young people, or our practice is just it's with the women I work with too, we have a formula. So it's about mindfulness. We meditate a lot, do some physical stretching, some yoga, some trauma release exercises maybe, and then play, either do creative arts or music, or do something that allows your body to release, shake out the trauma, shake it out, let it go. And if it doesn't belong to me, I don't hold it anymore. Let it go.
And I love that you said a little bit earlier that you work one-on-one with the children and the women. I think the big disease is also that we lump those kids together, those women issues, and and if you lump them, if herd them in factory schooling, and even for women in whatever shelters, then you don't see each person for the uniqueness and the beauty that that person is.
Absolutely.
And that's important. That's healing. Anybody who experiences that one-on-one thing where that person feels unique and beautiful because it's one-on-one, and the other person is able
Bilkul,
able
bilkul.
to give that experience.
It's reminded me of this thing when we started the sisterhood. Lockdown ho gaya, we were allowed slowly to release. So we said excitement ho gaya, इकट्ठे होंगे because we were meeting online or meeting through the phones, and we met. And I didn't realize that one of the women, she was about in her 60s. She was Caucasian, white, middle class, and she was blind. So she came with a dog, and the dog, walks in, and I could hear this like gruntling. And she said, "I hope you don't mind. I'm bringing, her dog came in, and he chummoed and chattered and was sniffing everybody. And one of the women was she had lost her husband. She'd lost lots of people lost lots of people in COVID, and it was very painful. And the dog just kept cuddling her and loving her, and so it was somebody else's dog. She came because she was blind and didn't have somewhere to come. And the other woman had lost members of her family, somebody very close. And through just being together, healing happened. We didn't even started anything.
But you know what? The space allowed that.
Yeah, that's
It wasn't. They were kind of hurdled. Okay, stop this stupidness. Come set the dog out. Sit. I have something to tell you.
And we totally put her from that. So we put on the kettle, start the herbal teas, let's sit down, aaj ki kariye. And it just starts manifesting, but not without an intention. So there was always an ardas. There was always some kind of prayer to say, please let me be the funnel, and let me be the funnel or the tunnel, that whatever you need to happen, let it pass through, so that these people get what they need. And it's not you. You see, I don't do anything. This is just pakhand. Oh, main kuch nahi main kar di. But in the sense
holding
that
the space is a very important thing. And women know that, how to do that.
Yeah, getting a sacred space, clearing it, cleansing it, keeping it clean, allowing for 3 rules, respect. You maintain the confidentiality so people trust you. Not that by the time you leave here and by the time you get there, the whole world knows everything about you. No, this is your sacred and safe space.
Anonymous.
And anonymous. And then there's also follow-up. You don't just leave people in the lurch until they're ready, and then they go. And they flourish and they flower and they spread their fragrance elsewhere because they've had the chance to heal. So that lady who came with the dog, who was blind, she lost her husband and she was blind, so it was hard to navigate herself. And then she found herself getting stronger through the sisterhood, getting some therapy, trauma release exercises, getting some Reiki, Bowen technique, got stronger, started finding a yogic practice, started doing a bit of dance, got stronger. And then she opened her home to Ukrainian refugees.
Oh, wow.
And found a whole bunch of friends, because at that time that was what was happening in the UK. And now the ashram, she's like helping hundreds of people.
Wow.
So she got support when she needed it. That was
Now
the Sahara.
She's spreading
the Sahara mil gaya, and now kitne anu Sahara de rahi hai. And I think that's what it was. The dream of Sahara Sisterhood was to provide a safe and sacred space for women and girls to come together, to be non-judgmental space. There's no judgment, there's no questions. You share, you don't share. Nobody tells you. There's no prescription, and it's not one drug for all.
Yeah,
it's prescription.
And I've known you for many years now, and I think it's your strength is that you be yourself. You see things the way you see them. You do not lie to yourself or to anyone else, and you do what is okay for you. And there are so many times you could have stumbled on this path that you've taken. The funding comes because if I say this, this is going to happen, or that person, or whatever. No, you know that it has to be one-on-one.
Yeah.
You know that everyone, even the most stinky, smelly, homeless person, is beautiful, is God's creation, and has to be, has to be
Yeah.
related with one-on-one.
And this is why the Sikh teachings resonated with me, because Guru Nanak didn't go to he went to the thug and the chore and the junu koi bhi nahi puchda
He
si.
did not reject or judge.
No, and his best friend was Bala, a Hindu, and his other best friend was Mardana, a Muslim, and they strode together and they sang, and through the singing and the connection of healing, people's lives changed. And he taught in the most time. I've never experienced teaching in the way that I have, through reading and understanding and just looking at the legacy of the way that these teachers lived. So through that, whether it's looking after the planet, sustainability, power to women, or Guru's saying there's not even a question about powering to women. We're all women. And the way that manifests is really powerful through the work. So you take an ingredient, and for me, that's my source, the Sri Guru Granth Sahib. I use that quite openly. I'm not afraid to say it, as my source. And the stuff that I get from that, translate it and package it in a way that other people can. So it's
And
not under the Romalle.
You use it for easing into oneness.
Yeah.
Not for,
No, and I don't
going into separation.
No, and I don't believe that having matha tekna and put Ramale and pujana, that's okay. That's one thing, but what that Shabad Guru was given for was for the whole of Sarbat Tapala, right?
And
for everyone.
Oneness.
So how do you give it to everyone if nobody can access it, because you make it so difficult for people? And I'm not a man, and it's a very patriarchal, male-dominated. That whole, I'm a female minister. I'm a Sikh minister in a very man's world, and it's very hard. Sometimes you come through.
But you wing it.
Yeah, I fake it, so I make it. Yeah. I somehow find it. I find a way, but
yes,
but
and
it's tough.
there are
The
ways.
journey's
There
hard.
are ways, and there are tools out there. It's not only Sikh. There are tools in Buddhism. There are tools in
Absolutely.
Hinduism. There are tools in every
faith.
Thing is, are you using it to separate or to
unite,
reach out?
Yeah. And all the women that I work with are from all different faiths and no faith, but it doesn't matter. It's just that we're not, you all have something that makes you tick. So for someone, it's ballet. For someone, it's jazz.
You have a meta system that you operate in, and it's up to you to choose that or something else, or go on and do something else. But basically, you're beautiful. You're a human being.
Beauty.
Navleen, yeah, I know. I know I could talk to you endlessly. But right now our time is over. But we have to do this again.
Okay.
After a few,
Part
giving
two.
it a little time.
Part three.
Yes. And your life would have shown you a lot more. And you would have spread yourself out a lot more. Like yummy butter.
As long as you're in the butter with me,
Hey?
all right.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you so much. This was so wonderful.